profiled and discriminated against. Blame them for the cost of eggs? Is that what we're doing here? We're blaming them because you guys can't get corporate greed on a side that is a disease that is killing our economy? People can't afford housing? You think it's because of our immigrant neighbors? No. If you cared truly about fixing our immigration system, you'd go fix it so that U.S. citizens married to undocumented spouses can actually adjust their status. Where we have mixed statuses because for 30 years we've ignored and vilified immigrants. Enough is enough.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Congress Flash. Today, we're diving into a fiery political moment that's making headlines. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib broke down in an emotional speech over housing laws, and Dr. Ben Carson hit back hard with facts, law, and some cold hard logic. But behind all the shouting, there's a bigger question. Should public housing go to undocumented immigrants while American citizens are sleeping on the streets? Let's break it all down in key points. No spin, no fluff. Let's go. So first up, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib took the floor in Congress with visible emotion. She criticized how
of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1980 specifically states that the Secretary of HUD is prohibited from providing housing assistance to people who are in the country illegally. And what people sometimes don't understand is that we have millions of legal Americans in line waiting for these very scarce resources. What Congresswoman and many others also don't realize is that we have provided a mechanism whereby people who are affected, illegals who are affected and can't find housing, can have delayed action for 6 months, which can be renewed twice for a total of 18 months, which of course is plenty of time for Congress to do its job. So, you know, for them to suggest that I should break the law, what is the real implication? That we can just pick and choose the laws we want to enforce and embrace? Of course we feel sympathy for people. Of course we don't want anybody out on the streets. But the real thing that is hurting people is our failure to address this immigration system, the rules that are drawing people here and keeping them here, and that are so unfair to American citizens who have been paying taxes and working here. We take in 1.1 million people legally through our immigration system, which is far more than any other country, and let that system work. But it can't work when we have all these perverse incentives which are drawing people here.
So we have hundreds of thousands of Americans sleeping outside every night who are homeless, and they're everywhere.
Absolutely.
And you're telling us that there are many thousands of illegal aliens living at public expense in public housing, and Congress has some concern about what's going to, I mean, why would that be a concern at all? Foreign citizens breaking our laws, why wouldn't we spend all of our time and all of our money, all of our energy worrying about Americans who are living on the streets?
Well, you would think we would do that. You know, whenever you get on an airplane, in the initial announcements, they say if there's an emergency, your oxygen mask will drop down, put yours on first, and then assist your neighbor.
She criticized housing laws that deny assistance to undocumented immigrants, warning that these policies could lead to racial profiling and tear families apart. She even said her own mother might need to carry a passport just to avoid being targeted. Powerful words, but are they backed by reality? Enter Dr. Ben Carson, former Secretary of HUD. He came back with something that didn't rely on emotions. Section 214 of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1980, it clearly states that public housing aid cannot go to individuals in the U.S. illegally. Not an opinion, not a policy proposal. Federal law.
Obviously, we need to take care of our people. Doesn't mean that we're not compassionate people. It means that we're logical people. And let's take care of our people. I'm very happy. I told Congresswoman and others, if you can find a way that I can legally do what you want me to do, please tell me what it is. I'm all ears.
How did she respond?
Change the subject, of course. They don't seem to want to deal with the ideal that Congress is the one who makes the laws. Instead, they rather just say to you, why don't you break the law so that we can feel good about ourselves? Why don't they do their jobs? That's what they were elected to do. The American people have a real choice to make here. They need to decide what kind of people do they want representing us. And it can't just be somebody whose name you recognize. It needs to be people who are willing to roll up their sleeves and do the tough things that need to be done in order for our country to prosper. And when our country is prosperous, I think we can then turn our attention to some of these other countries and see what we can do to help them. But we need to get ours in order first.
So Congresswoman Maloney is pressuring you to break the law. She is a lawmaker. She could try to change the law. She's not bothering. Isn't that prima facie evidence that she's not a serious person? I mean, that's buffoonish.
Well, it is very sad. It would be nice if she were the only one, but there are many who feel that way, and I don't think they've really thought through what's going on. They just allow themselves to be caught up in the moment, and you know, they want to be popular, and they're not thinking long term about what the impact is of what they're doing. They're not thinking about our children and our grandchildren and what they will have to face. It's just what makes me look good today.
I've noticed. Secretary Ben Carson, thanks very much for that.
Thank you,
Law.
Tucker.
He argued that we have millions of legal citizens waiting for housing, and giving those spots to people here illegally is not just unfair, it's illegal. This is where it gets interesting. Carson wasn't dismissing compassion. He actually pointed out that affected families get an 18-month grace period. That's a year and a half to get things sorted, and during that time, Congress could act if they actually wanted to. But instead, Carson says, they expect him to break the law so they can feel good politically. Before we jump to the next segment, if you're into bold, fact-first breakdowns like this one, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're not done yet. Carson dropped an analogy that hit home, literally. He said, when you're on an airplane, they tell you to put on your own oxygen mask first before helping others. In other words, take care of Americans first. Hundreds of thousands of our fellow citizens are sleeping on sidewalks, in cars, under bridges, but some lawmakers want to focus taxpayer resources on non-citizens first. Carson's point wasn't cruel, it was practical. You can't help anyone if your own house is falling apart. The conversation didn't stop in Congress. Carson went on Tucker Carlson Tonight, where he calmly dismantled the narrative that enforcing housing laws is somehow racist or hateful. He made it clear, this isn't about hate, it's about fairness, legality, and taking care of citizens who followed the rules and paid into the system. Meanwhile, lawmakers like Carolyn Maloney were pushing Carson to break the law, even though they have the power to change it, and when asked for a legal solution, they just changed the subject. So here's the bottom line. Rashida Tlaib made an emotional plea, but didn't offer a legal fix. Ben Carson backed his position with law and compassion, offering grace periods and calling on Congress to do its job. And the real question remains, why are we prioritizing non-citizens while so many Americans are struggling to survive? Emotions make headlines, but facts build policy, and facts don't cry. If you found this breakdown helpful, drop a comment below. Do you think public housing should go to undocumented immigrants, or should struggling citizens come first? Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.